All right, looks like we're up and running. Hey, I'm Storm Team 4 meteorologist Matt Brickman. Elsa is moving in, Tropical Storm Elsa, and I wanted to spend a little time trying to answer some of your questions, help you get ready for this storm. This is a live radar loop of right now. You can see where it's located along that Virginia, North Carolina border, right around Norfolk, Virginia, just south of there. Actually, a tornado warning a little bit out west. You have flash flood warnings and similar impacts is what we're expecting here as that storm advances in overnight tonight and into the day tomorrow. I'm just going to pull up the Facebook feed here so I can keep an eye on some of your questions as we talk through this. 50-mile-an-hour sustained winds with this storm right now. Elsa actually got stronger. In the last 6 hours or so, we saw those sustained winds bump up from about 45 miles an hour to 50 miles an hour. And it's moving relatively slowly right now to the northeast at 21 miles an hour, but it will move more quickly overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning as it makes its way up through the tri-state. This is the track there. You can see that line right at 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. That's that Friday AM 50 mile per hour number. That's when it starts to move into southern New Jersey. We'll see those heavier rain bands moving in after midnight and then picking up along the Jersey shore, out through Long Island, closer to sunrise tomorrow before it continues on through Boston and Cape Cod and drives northeast, where it will eventually weaken as we roll into the weekend. The coastal areas have the biggest impacts out of this storm. We are expecting, actually just got this question from Deborah, what is predicted for Ocean County, New Jersey? Let's talk about that. Tropical storm warning in Ocean County, not just along the coastline, but inland as well. 2 to 4 inches of rain is what we're expecting there. And then closer to the coast, that's where we could see some of those higher end wind gusts, 40 plus miles an hour, sustained winds over 35 miles an hour, so very strong. And then as that storm moves closer to Long Island, I think the impacts could be even greater. 4 to 6 inches of rain look possible for much of Suffolk County and then into coastal Connecticut, and the winds really along Long Island could spell trouble there. Gusts closer to 60 miles an hour. Here's a look at that rain forecast kind of broken down by area. The orange indicating 3 to 4 inches of rain, and you can see that for Nassau and Suffolk County, into Fairfield County, Connecticut as well. About 1 to 3 inches for New York City, maybe a little bit more than that for parts of the Bronx and Queens. Staten Island, you're kind of right on that 2-inch line. Manhattan, I think 1 to 2 inches sounds right. And then looking north and west, where we've got lighter rain for northwestern New Jersey into the Hudson Valley, Orange, Rockland, Putnam, up into Dutchess County, even Westchester County, except for that southeastern part, looks to be relatively light. Here are those winds I was telling you about. You can see them really pick up after midnight tonight. And look down the Jersey shore. I'll go ahead and point those out here if I can. You can see kind of that yellow-orange layer. That's showing you gusts over 40 miles an hour. And the time there, right around 4 a.m. So after midnight, before sunrise. And then after sunrise, while that heavy rain is really coming down for the city and then out through Long Island, look at the winds that come along with that. Gusts to 35 miles an hour in the city, 40 to 50, maybe 55 miles an hour out through Long Island as the low, the center of Elsa, is circling just offshore there out over the Atlantic. Now, the exact track of this storm is going to be interesting. Let me back that up just so we can walk through it again. Through Long Island, the exact path the storm takes is going to be important, because what we typically see on the eastern side of storms like these are tornadoes. So if you have that rotation here, and say it passes through kind of in between Islip and Eastport, or even out towards Eastport, the far east end of Long Island, out towards the Hamptons, out towards Montauk, you could see tornadoes, water spouts spin up there as the storm kind of moves through east of the center of rotation. We're just continuing to monitor some severe storms as well, so I'm just making sure I'm not missing anything while we're talking about Elsa, and then storms wind down as we get to the middle of the day. For most of us, I think it's going to be flash flooding that is the number one major impact. Unfortunately or fortunately, we had a preview of what's to come today with that heavy rain and those training thunderstorms, one after the other, piling up huge amounts of rain from the Bronx through Westchester to Hackensack, New Jersey, really throughout much of the 5 boroughs and out into Nassau County as well. And I think we could see a lot of that again tomorrow. I mentioned this storm picks up speed. I can go ahead and walk you through the timing of it. There are those storms exiting tonight. I think we're done with them by 10, 11 o'clock. But then Elsa comes in, and watch how quick this goes. So we'll start here at 3 a.m. That heavier rain starting to move through Monmouth and Ocean County. I'll just jump it ahead 3 hours. You've got that heavy rain through the city, in through Hudson, Union, Essex County, getting up into Bergen County, and then certainly through Long Island, Nassau, and Suffolk County. By 9, I think we're pretty much done in the city. Less than 6 hours of heavy rain. Jersey Shore, probably 6 to 8 hours of heavy rain out through Long Island. Maybe it lasts a little bit longer, maybe 9 hours, but that's it. And it's because we are seeing that much rain, again, 2 to 4 inches in 6 hours or less in quite a few spots, that we expect flash flooding. Take this out of context. Say we're just getting 2 to 4 inches of rain in 6 hours after a dry stretch. That could still lead to flash flooding. But we haven't had a dry stretch. We had scattered severe storms today that led to flash flooding. We had isolated severe storms last night. We had heavy rain and thunderstorms on Tuesday. We have been getting hammered with round after round of storms throughout the week. The ground is saturated. It is full of water after the last 3 days. And frankly, there's nowhere for the additional rainfall to go. So that could lead to flash flooding on grassy areas and certainly streets as well. Also, the root structures of some trees, certainly smaller ones, are going to be loosened by all that water. The soil is basically mud at this point in a lot of spots. And if you get some of those stronger winds, 40 to 60 miles an hour, that could be enough to topple trees, especially with all the leaves on them this time of year. They just kind of act like a wind sail and catch the wind with that additional surface area, as opposed to like the winter when the tree branches are bare and the wind can kind of whip through it. When we've got leaves on the trees, the wind catches onto those leaves and come down a little bit more easily. If the soil is loose because of all that rain, those trees come down easily. They can topple power lines. They can cause outages. So kind of the perfect storm after all the rain we've seen over the last week. Now, there is a chance of severe weather tomorrow. Most of this is going to be that flash flooding. But again, the east end of Long Island and through coastal Connecticut, we could certainly see some isolated tornadoes or water spouts develop as well. All right, just checking in on some of your comments. Juan Suarez wants to know what's flying over New Jersey right now. No severe thunderstorm warnings currently in effect there. Still some pretty heavy rain and a fair amount of lightning as those storms are weakening right now, approaching sunset. Steven wanted to know, what do you think the timetable will look like in the city and for the tri-state area? So we walked through that a little bit, Stephen, but after midnight, I'd say probably for the city, after 3 a.m., and most of it's done by 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Matthew, Feeler or Filer, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Sorry, Matthew. Wanting to know, will the roads be safe to travel in the morning? It kind of depends where you are. We saw the flash flooding today shut down the Major Deegan. And we could certainly see something similar tomorrow with that heavier rain, especially if you're driving through Long Island. I think that's going to be where the worst of this is, through the morning tomorrow, when most folks are getting on the road, 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, even 6, I think we'll still see, we're starting to see some of that heavier rain move through there. So, it depends when you go, Matthew, to answer your question. But I certainly wouldn't want to be in the road. Stephen wants to know about Fairfield County, Connecticut. Looks like some pretty heavy rain there. Could be in that 3-4 inch range with some stronger winds closer to the coastline. Checking. Yeah, Lynn letting you know there's already flash flooding in New York City, and this hasn't even gotten here. Yeah, that's true. I mean, those are two separate systems. These scattered storms aren't a part of Elsa. That is a separate event. Just really poor timing and bad luck to have the string of weather that we've been on. But just to kind of recap here how things will work, we shouldn't really see anything from Elsa until after midnight tonight. Anything that you're seeing right now, or say before 10 o'clock, is part of a separate system. But after midnight, Elsa starts to approach from the south, Ocean, Monmouth County. You guys will see this first with that heavier rain between midnight and say 6 a.m. That'll extend northward up into the city and then through Long Island, say from 4-5 o'clock on, right through that morning commute. Heaviest rain looks like it'll be over Long Island into coastal Connecticut, where flash flooding is going to be our biggest concern. But the coastline's also dealing with some gustier winds. Could see 40 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts. Long Island seeing the higher end of those gusty winds, as the center of the storm will be closer to that after sunup. I don't think you're going in the water. I think you're smart enough to know to stay out of it when we've got a tropical storm coming in tomorrow. But we are talking about 7 to 11 foot surf, not to mention very dangerous rip currents as well. You don't want to be in the water under any circumstances in conditions like that. But that's a recap of Elsa. I'm going to take a look before I go at just to see in case I missed any of your questions. Yeah, Mark commenting that Hackensack, New Jersey looked bad tonight. It did. That water got high very, very quickly. We had a couple of reporters there, Pat Battle and Ida Siegel, both talking about how the water got up to their waists. Mark wants to know, how will the FDR be in the morning? Again, it's going to be exactly the path that storm takes, but I think there's going to be steady, if not heavy rain and some pretty breezy, if not gusty winds along the FDR in the morning. It'll be slow going. I think that's probably what you can prepare for. Take some extra time, and if you can work from home, if that's an option, tomorrow will be a good work from home day, assuming that we don't lose power with those strong winds and thunderstorms. That's it for now on Elsa. We'll give you more updates certainly over the next day or so as this storm moves in. But thanks for checking in and asking questions. Always appreciate that. And we'll see you a little bit later tonight